Hi there, welcome to the channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. Usually I do bring you a lot of nice scenery in my videos, and to do that I do use a lot of camera equipment which is power hungry. While I'm out on my long trips, I usually run out of battery and I have to recharge them. Previously I've done this with an old car battery and an inverter, and last year that old inverter just went poof and I had to replace it. And this year I got me one of these. It's an Ecoflow River 2. It's a power bank. It delivers 230 volts AC as well as USB and 12 volts output in the front panel here. And it's quite of a chunky device. It's not for long hikes, but it is great when you're traveling for a long while and, for example, go camping overnight near a road, which is what I've been doing over the last 1.5 months. So the videos you'll be seeing here is me testing this in different situations over the last roughly 1.5 months, and yeah, how it worked for me. Hopefully this will be interesting to you, and yeah, please free to skip to any chapter you like below here. I'd also like to add that this is something I bought for my own money. I have not been sponsored or have any knowledge about the company, so it's just me testing something and showing you how it works for me. In this video I will show you how to unbox it, what's in the crate. I'll do some testing. But I will not do very technical testing. There are some very nice videos that have done that in a lot more detail. The power station comes in a very nice and rugged cardboard box. Weighs about 4.5 kilos when it's packed down, and the device itself should be around 3.5 kilos. So it's time to open the tape on top here. First impressions from the packing is that they've done this really well. It's nice and sturdy and a solid cardboard box. There's a big cutout for plastic, and immediately in here there's a manual and the device itself. Nice little printed manual. This is the Ecoflow River 2. It's a very... It appears to be a very nice size. This will fit in my backpack, and that's why I've gone for the smallest size, because I would like to be able to carry this for a few hundred meters, few kilometers, something like that in my backpack, and I won't be needing an insane amount of power. So this is the device. There's some other cables here. This is a car cigarette lighter to XT adapter. This is for charging 12 volts. And there is a standard IEC power plug for charging off the wall. And yeah, that's what's in the box. On the front here you can see there's a 12 volt output that delivers 8 amps at 12 volts. There's a 230 volt socket here. This is rated at 300 watts for non-inductive loads like laptops or whatever, and it's said to be able to handle inductive loads like drills or heaters or whatever, which is a lot higher, but it does that by lowering the voltage. So that's yeah, for different uses. Small display in the middle, 2 USB-A ports. They're supposed to deliver 12 watts each, and a 60 watt USB-C port, which can be used both to charge this one and to charge devices from it. The box is rigid, it's flat on top, and there's a carry handle here. The handle also serves as a standoff so that it protects the inputs on the back. There are 3 things on the back excluding the handle. That's the IEC connector, there's a fan, and there's an XT connector, which is for DC charging. This one takes in 11 to 30 volts, so you can charge it off a car or a solar panel, wind turbine, or any other DC source. and it will charge up to 110 watts on the input. Now it's time to peel off the plastic and see what happens when I turn this on. Zooming into the screen here, you can see it has a 28% charge as it comes from the factory. That's a limitation for shipping. It says that it can stay at standby for 99 hours, and that should show the time it has left to operate at its current power usage. I'll try hooking something up to it later and see how that charge changes. There's an input on the top here. This one tells you how fast it's charging. It can charge and deliver power at the same time, so it can function as a UPS of some sort. On the bottom here, it tells you how much the combined output is, and that's across all of the outputs. It's time to see what happens when I plug something in here. I got a somewhat power-hungry laptop here, and I got its charger. There is a very small load from this one, it's just idling. Let's try to plug it in here. This laptop is almost depleted, so it should be pulling a lot of power. And there it goes. It's charging at the moment at 40 watts, 50 watts, and you can see here that amount of hours is turning down quite quickly. So what happens when I turn this on? Power usage is spiking quite a lot here, and yeah, it's going up to 70, 30 watts, whatever it is moving at. I'm not interested in draining it very much now. I would just like to test how this works. And there the fan starts. So there is a very audible fan here, fan noise, but that is to be expected. It is actually delivering a lot of power from a relatively small device. Currently it's drawing around 100 whiskey. The unit comes with a relatively short power cable, but it's a standard IAC plug, so it shouldn't be an issue. Putting it in here, and that gave me a very nice and solid relay sound. By default, it's doing rapid charging. At the moment, it's charging at 320 watts. And it should charge up to 340 at some times, depending on where it is in its charge cycle. It also tells me that it has 41 minutes until full charge. It is possible to put it on slow charge, and that would be something you would do to preserve the battery. The battery is rated at having a capacity of 256 watt hours. Usable capacity is around 190. It's also supposed to be able to take 3000 charge cycles and still remain or retain 80% of its original capacity. So that should be okay. Interested to see how this will hold up over time. So time to just let it charge and then bring it out into the field to do some testing. I've got the River hooked up to my portable foldable solar panel. This is nominal 50 watts, and one of the main selling points of the River is that it can charge off any solar panel. Today it's a bit hazy, the sun is low on the sky, and I'm getting here roughly 20 watts. At home, when I tried this, I got almost 50 watts, but that was in midday and on a very, very clear day. This solar panel has been very slightly modified. I put an XT connector on the back, XT60, so that it fits into the River, and that's about it. And it charges my device. Great thing to have while out hiking and driving. This is heavy, of course, but it's not for long hikes. This is going to be a typical use case for me. I frequently go camping, and now I'm doing streaming. I'm on for the European ham radio show tonight. So I need some power. Down here is the Ecoflow River, and I got my router over here with a 4G antenna, directional, and the laptop over there. Streaming does suck a lot of power from the PC, so it's important to have an extra battery there. Otherwise, at least if the stream drags on a bit, you may run out. A very common use for this for me would be to repair equipment while out on the road. And in this case, actually, my antenna broke. It's a very simple vertical antenna, ground plane antenna for 20 meters, and the wire snapped off. It's a simple experimental thing. So I'm gonna do some soldering and see how that works. Got my river set up here with a small soldering iron, and this is my home soldering iron, but I sometimes bring it on longer trips just because I need a proper way to repair things in the field. And this is not going to be a solder tutorial. The river is powered up now. It's at 94%, and I got AC on, so let's see how it reacts to the soldering iron. This is a 50-watt iron, at least it's supposed to be. But it's pulling a bit more now that it's heating up, 80 watts or something like that. It's set to heat quite warm, up to 429 Celsius, because there's a lot of thermal mass in this socket. The river had no problems heating the soldering iron. The fan turned on for a little while, and I can see the percentages dropping quite quickly. It says it should be able to power this for about 3 hours. The iron is going on and off 50 watts here, and it's probably a bit too windy to be soldering outdoors today, but hey, why not? Today's task is pretty simple. I gotta get this green wire, the vertical antenna, into this little socket here. This is just experimental. It's not an antenna that's supposed to last. So I just want it to sit in there, and that's about it. I've had the soldering iron on now for about 5 minutes, and that used 4% of the available battery power in the river. One final thing I would like to test is what happens to a radio when you turn this device on. I'm at the cabin now. There's nothing electronic on close to here now. Even the solar panel has been turned off. So it should be quite nice and quiet on the bands here. And this radio, as I showed you in my video about this cabin, it picks up a lot of noise from over HF, especially from the solar panel and inverter. And yeah, there is some noise on the band, but that's called FT8. So this looks really nice and quiet. Usually it is a lot noisier when I turn on the solar panel. Just as a reference, this is with my solar panel inverter on, and it's just idling. It makes a lot more noise when anything is being charged from it or something like that. So the bands are nice and quiet here at the moment. So what happens when I turn this on and it idles? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And then again, if I turn on AC power and idle, yeah, there was a little pop there, and yeah, seems to be a bit of it, but nothing noticeable. And this is fully workable now. What about 12 volts? No, that's quiet. So let's see if I can plug something in. Of course, I'm not testing those devices, and I know, for example, that my 4G router, the charger for that, creates a lot of noise. So that's not suitable for this, but I'll try with a laptop charger. This is a Dell laptop charger. It's 130 watts, but on idle it doesn't pull very much. And Yeah, that it was surging a bit and then it was making a bit of noise, but that could just as well be the charger here that makes the noise. And you can see now it is actually quite noisy. And it will probably be a lot more noisy when I plug that into my cell phone to start charging it. Yeah. So basically this is not very usable when you're on the radio. But that is also not my point for this. This is mostly to charge equipment. And that's equipment I would not be charging while I was using the radio. So this is, yeah, again, very much as expected from this machine. I've been using the Ecoflow River now for about 1.5 months. I bought it before I went on summer vacation. And I used it quite a lot, as you see in the video, and quite a lot of other times as well. And I do like this device. It's a beautiful, small, little, well-made box. It does have its quirks. So what's the biggest issue I've seen with it? I think the worst thing is its tendency to go into standby instead of turning off. And if you charge it and unplug it, then it automatically goes into standby. And if you run it in standby mode, it will empty half of its battery power within 24 hours, just on standby. And that would be the same if you, for example, accidentally hit the power on button. It also has some mechanical issues. First, I'd say that the build quality for this is amazing. Like, it's rugged. It's would probably survive a small fall. I'm not going to try it, but it will probably do that. The biggest issue is you have the carry handle here. This is the front panel. And when you set it down, it feels correct to just sit it down on the front panel. And here you have all of the inputs, you have the display, you have the power button, and a lot of other things. And I've actually managed to get a scratch on it. So that is a really bad design decision. I can understand it somehow, because they wanted this room free and probably wanted it to be compact, but still, it's natural to put it down on this surface. Another bad element is the fan. It creates a lot of fan noise, for example, when you're charging a laptop or running a laptop off it. So if you would like to relax and watch a movie, then this thing will give you quite a lot of fan noise. It's not that horrible, but still annoying, and would be very nice if it was a quieter fan. It only has one power socket. I know that the big ones have more, and for me I just solved it by bringing like a divider or an extension cord, and that works fine. I've tested charging this in a variety of ways. I charge it from the wall socket with AC power. I charged it from my car with the cigarette lighter adapter. That works really well, but it pulls a lot of power, and the adapter got really warm, so hot that it was actually hard to hold on to it. So maybe it's drawing a bit too much there from what a normal cigarette lighter can actually handle. I charged it from solar. That worked fine. The limitation there was my panel. And I don't know if it's the panel or the adapter, but it does require quite a lot of sunlight to actually charge. I've also charged it via USB-C. There's a port on the front here, a USB-C port, and this one can also be used to charge the device. So if you have a normal modern USB-C laptop charger, or even a cell phone charger, like a high power cell phone charger, you can charge this, and it goes however fast your charger can deliver power. So that's excellent. I'm really happy I bought this, and for me this is going to work fine. I will not use it with my radio as I showed earlier, just because I have batteries for it, and I have batteries for all my other devices. So this is something I have mostly to charge equipment, such as my laptop, cell phones, my drones and cameras, and basically everything else. It's a battery bank, and that's what they sell it as. So this was a bit of a different video for me. I hope it was interesting and that it was useful for you if you consider buying this device. I haven't seen anything that would discourage me from recommending it from anyone. So if you need one, this is one example of something that works decently with my 1.5 months of limited usage for it. Thank you very much for watching. 7-3.